Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Let me expand the video here. Hello. Okay, we're good. Great to see you. Happy Friday here. It's in Australia, it's Friday, which is, can't believe we're at Friday already. I don't know about you, but it feels like this week's already are flying by. Already nearly tomorrow, we're at March. Crazy. Welcome to day 3 of the Garden of Entrepreneurial Delights. Super delightful for me to be here with you again today. I'm really excited by the momentum and the depth that we're really going to with these live streams. I trust that they are being insightful and activating and inspiring. Please let me know. Let me know what's been landing for you. Let me know what you've been deepening into through this process of inquiry as we climb in together into this inquiry around creative genius, activating your business as a masterpiece in motion, touching the raw material of your creativity and really unlocking the next level of brilliance that you're here to transmit upon the planet through the vehicle that is your soul's work. And today we're going to be delving into an incredibly important topic, which is what I'm calling the edge of innovation. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to join me live. I can see some people are here. Fabulous. Say hi so I know who you are. We're going to be delving into this term innovation, and it is a term that gets thrown around a lot throughout particularly the online industry. We want to understand why. Why is it so important to anchor innovation into our work? And I mean, the answer is super obvious, right? We want to do things differently. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to do things like everybody else. I like to be disruptive. I like to be unique. Hi, Brenda. Welcome, darling. I like to challenge perception. I like to challenge the way people think. I like to expand the perception that people believe is possible, like expand the realms of what people believe is possible. And we do this in our own capacity to think bigger, in our own capacity to create bigger, to create in a way that reshapes conversations and that actually helps people to see things in a completely different way. We're going to be talking about this at an energetic, a practical, a strategic level. So everything we've explored so far, from accessing the raw material of your creative genius, giving yourself permission to play in your business, to challenge the way things have traditionally been done, unlocking the pulse of your inspiration and understanding the activation points and the things that activate creativity within you, the artistry of your business, and really understanding that you are an artist, whether you consider yourself a traditional artist or not. Your business is an incredibly creative outlet for you. And if you start to see it as a creative piece of art, as a masterpiece in motion, not only are you fully expanding into what you're actually here to do and the level, the edge that you're here to play at, but you're attracting a very precise kind of person into your field, right? Someone who really values artistry, who values creative thinking, who values solutions that don't look like other people's solutions. Because ultimately, business, that's all it is. Hi, Debbie, welcome. That's all it is, right? At the real core of it, when we get to the real mundane, 3D level, business is providing solutions to people's problems and facilitating desires, providing solutions so that people can solve their problems and experience what they want. Now, ultimately, if we were to get really rudimentary, there's actually only 4 reasons why people spend money. The first one is to improve their health. The second one is to make more money. The third one is to improve their relationships. And the fourth one is to avoid going to jail. So we're going to put that one down. I don't have any lawyers in here. So we've got those 3 primary areas, right? If we're to get super rudimentary, hello, marvelous Maya. Welcome, my darling. Great to see you here. Improve your relationships, improve your health, improve your financial situation. So it's often really powerful to get super clear on the rudimentary, 3D, tangible, a lot of the people I work with are very creative and they're very spiritual. And they can often live in this rather, we can call it 5D level, 5th dimensional space. Some may say we can be, and I myself include myself in this sometimes, a bit off with the fairies, plugged into other dimensions. And sometimes it can be very difficult to take what it is that we do with our clients and ground it down in a tangible, practical, everyday, conversational way that like lands in the languaging that people are actually using. This is very often a messaging thing, a messaging misfire, when you're not really articulating the problem or the solution or the desire that you facilitate in the way that your client actually really gets, right? So, understanding which one of those three areas you specialize in: make more money, improve your relationships, improve your health. What is it? And they can often be intersected and interrelated, right? Make more money, you're going to obviously, sometimes you're going to improve your health and your relationships, but sometimes not, right? So when we get to the rudimentary, like building blocks, the foundational building blocks of what we're doing, and really, really clearly articulating who we are, what we do, what problems we solve, and what desires we facilitate, that's when we can actually, like, we give ourselves the foundation to expand out into the edge of innovation. So creativity without innovation is just self-expression. Business without innovation is just repetition. We're just repeating what other people are doing, right? But when creativity and innovation meet, that's actually when we're shifting industries. That's when we're completely reshaping conversations. That's when we are like actually doing what we say we want to do, which is shift the collective consciousness of the planet. Now, I have a lot of clients who say, when we really drill into the core of their why, like their big why behind why they do what they do, at the core of it, often it is this: I want to shift the consciousness of the planet. I want to contribute to the collective healing of the planet. I want to help make the planet a better place to be. And we're not actually doing that unless we're able to come back to this crux of how. Innovation. How am I reshaping conversation? How am I helping people to think differently? How am I taking someone's level of perception and helping them go from here to here so that they can suddenly see a much wider possibility? So I want to introduce you to this concept. You might have heard it before: blue ocean. When we combine creativity and innovation, this is when our blue ocean strategy emerges. It's a brilliant book, Blue Ocean Strategy. I highly recommend it if you want to up-level your strategic game. And we're going to explore a little bit further down the track what that actually means. Basically, a blue ocean is an entirely new industry, right? A red ocean is you're a small fish in a really big pond. If you're in the red ocean, everyone is doing similar things. If you're in the blue ocean, you're a really big fish in a really little pond, right? Like, you are actively you are actively creating whole new industries. Now, I support clients with this through many different realms. One of the most fascinating and exciting one for me is actually when they channel whole new technology, whole new modalities, spiritual technologies that shift the way people are operating in the world, shift their energetic relationship with themselves, with others, with business, with health. And that's happened quite a lot. But what we want to understand is, how can we start to shift our thinking from repeating what other people are doing in our industry and kind of just being that little fish in being the little fish in the big pond with other lots of other lots of little fish, and actually start to shift into blue ocean strategy. So if you think about the biggest industry shifts that have been seen over the past kind of 20, 30 years, right? The big products that came on the market, or the services that came on the market that actively changed the game, they didn't happen because someone decided to do something but make it better. They actually happened because someone created something new, right? If you think about Uber, when Uber came on the market, it was a completely new ride share, work share. It was a completely new approach. If you think about like Airbnb, it was a completely new approach. You can take a house you already own and you can rent it out for days at a time. Completely new approach. Other examples, if you think about Cirque du Soleil, they didn't try to compete with the traditional circus market. They eliminated animals. They added in high-end theoretical and theatrical storytelling, and they created an entirely new market and a whole new model of circus performing. Other examples, when Apple introduced the iPod, there was nothing like it. I remember when the iPod first came out. But even their whole branding, everything that they did, it was like the complete antithesis to Macintosh. Sorry, to what was the other one? Microsoft, who was the other primary like the other primary competitor in the space, right? Completely different way of thinking, way of positioning, way of marketing, and all the way down to the model of the product that they used. Completely and utterly different. And the biggest shift here came because they decided not to compete for space in an existing market. They created a whole new market that didn't even exist yet. So I wanted to introduce this term to you if you haven't already come across it, blue ocean strategy. Right now, let me know in the comments, are you in a red ocean? Meaning I am like marketing in a market that lots of other people are doing the same sort of thing. I'm a little fish in a big pond. Or are you actively creating and cultivating a blue ocean? That means you're thinking right out there on the edge of innovation. You're creating something in a whole new way. Let me know in the comments. Be curious to hear. So for me, when it comes to like understanding magic in words, I love to look to the etymology, like the root cause of the words that we're speaking. And so this morning I was researching the root cause, no, not the root cause, the root of the word innovation. What does it actually mean? Where did it come from? What's the history behind this word? It's very interesting. So let's go. So it was about the 16th century that the word innovation was first started to be seen, and it comes from the Latin innovare, which means to make new. But what I found very interesting when I was researching this is that when it first entered the English vernacular, the word innovation, it was actually not seen as something positive. It was seen as something that was dangerous, that was disruptive, that was rebellious, and that ultimately challenged the traditional way, challenged the status quo. And I think there's like so much gold in that, in the etymological root of this word innovation, because true innovation doesn't just improve what exists, it actively challenges it, it disrupts it, it spins it on its head. And that's exactly what a blue ocean strategy was all about. When you're able to create an entirely new category, there is no competition because you've completely redefined the terms of the game. You are creating the game as you go ahead. So I wanted to share that with you because if you've been waiting for your ideas, your offers, your strategy, your business to feel safe, to feel comfortable, then you're absolutely not innovating. Innovation and safety often are completely like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, because the safest place to be in, like at the core of it, when you think about it, is to be where no one else is playing yet. The safest place from like a market perspective, from a strategic perspective, is to create and shape a whole new industry, bring forth a whole new way of thinking, a whole new way of healing, a whole new way of whatever it is that you specialize in, right? Whether it's making more money, improving relationships, improving health, or helping people avoid going to jail. A whole new way of thinking and being and operating in that space. But obviously at a nervous system level, do we have the capacity to hold that level of discomfort, right? There's a lot of things that actively stop people from creating on the edge of innovation. And one of the biggest ones is that people often think that innovation equals invention, that they need to create something from nothing, that they need to go out and create something totally new. When actually, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we want to be thinking and experimenting with, how can I say something truer, something deeper, something more impactful, something before the world even realizes that they need it. And this is the spark here that we want to follow. What are the things that your people need before they even realize that they need it, right? The other fear that comes up is the fear of being misunderstood. Innovation often arrives well before people are ready for it. I have a client in particular. She was on the call yesterday. She's always like a couple of years ahead of where her people are at with what it is that she's bringing forth. And I know that that's been really challenging for her, because she's talking about and wanting to talk about something that her people like aren't really getting yet. So like, how do we bridge that gap? How do we create a bridge between what I'm bringing forth, a whole new technology, a whole new paradigm, a whole new comprehension of the niche, the area that I specialize in. And then how do I like teach people and inspire people and educate people about that so they can see that it's something that they need, so that they're not feeling like they're just complete, like it's a messaging misfire like this. It's something that they're like, wow, I didn't even know that that's what I needed, but now I can see that that is exactly what I'm missing. Obviously, one of the biggest fears that comes through as well is the fear of losing your audience, right? That if you jump ahead all the way out to the edge of your innovative space, that people aren't going to come with you. And very often that happens. We need to create a whole new field, a whole new market of people who are seeing what I'm doing as something that is what they want, something that they want to be a part of. Not everyone is meant to come with you into your next evolution. And in fact, one of the biggest things that holds us back is because we're trying to kind of bring everyone along with us as we go through our own personal and professional ascension journey, right? We're still marketing to people. We've spoken a fair bit about this. We still market to people who are at the old, like a few years ago level that we were operating at, but we're trying to bring them along. We're trying to lug them with us. You can't take someone anywhere that they're not ready to go to. And we know this so many times. We see this in our personal relationships. We see it in our business relationships as well. So this is about making the decision to speak to a level of person who is ready and willing to dance with you on the edge, who is looking for someone who challenges their perception, who actively encourages them to think bigger, to think wider, to think more, to expand their perception, and to go on that journey with you out there. So where in your business have you potentially been like not dancing on the edge of innovation? Have you been holding back your most potent, your most industry shifting ideas? And I would love to have a conversation with you about this, about what it takes to facilitate an industry shift, what it takes to stand out in a crowded marketplace, what it takes to trust that if you're speaking as potently and as powerfully as you know and as truthfully, if you're striking the tone of truth, as we spoke about yesterday, in your message, in your marketing, that the right kind of people are going to say yes and the wrong kind of people are going to be dispelled, they're going to be dispersed. What does it take to shift an industry? What does it take to reshape a conversation, a big conversation that you're ready and willing to have with people? What is the bigger level conversation that you actually want to have with people? So when you think about the work that you do, your genius, and the transformations that you facilitate with your clients, and the outcomes that you help your people to experience, and the aha moments that you support them to have, and the way in which you shift what they believe is possible, what is the bigger level conversation, the industry shifting conversation that you're actually being called to have with your community? Is it on the edge of what you believe is innovation? Is it shifting people's perceptions? Or is it just rehashing what other people are saying in your industry, but giving it your own flair? So how do we actually activate your edge? How do we cultivate innovation in action? And this is very much a blue ocean thinking strategy. So we need to name, number one, we need to name what no one else has named yet. The most powerful innovations come from articulating something to the world that the world hasn't fully realized yet. And when you think about disruption, innovation, to change tradition, to reshape the status quo, to buck up against what everyone else is doing and to say, I have another way, I have another thought process, I have another service, I have another product, I have a whole new body of work to facilitate this shift. We have to be brave enough to stand out there on the edge and to put our soapbox up and to say, look at me, listen to me. In the past, this was heretical. This was heretical. You would have probably been burned at the stake if you were a woman speaking an innovative, rebellious, disruptive message. And yes, there's a lot of core patterning that absolutely needs to be unwound in our nervous systems, in our cells, in our ancestral lines, for us to get to the point where we're like, I'm fucking ready. I am ready to reshape this industry. I am ready to be seen on the global stage. I am ready to speak in a way that challenges perception, that helps people shift their perception of what they believe is possible. What are you articulating to the world that the world hasn't even realized yet? You're the first person to articulate a new way, a new process, a new thought. Like, it wasn't even that many years ago that no one was talking about nervous system regulation in business, right? It was like, you just need a strategy, and you just need to try the strategy, and you need to work the strategy, and then you're going to find a strategy that works. It was like probably maybe 10 years ago, maybe even less, that this whole notion of like nervous system regulation to increase your wealth, to increase your reach, to increase your capacity to market was even a thing, right? So what is that area for you, this conversation that you want to have with people before they even realize that they need to have it? As we know now, as an example, just plucked nervous system regulation. As an example, nervous system regulation for business expansion is a key part of successful, sustainable entrepreneurship, right? Someone had to claim it first. Someone had to say, I'm going to be brave enough to combine this with this and make a match. So the next way that we actively activate our edge and cultivate innovation in action is that we must know how to collapse the time between receiving an inspiration, a spark, and executing it and actually actioning it and taking it into action. When we collapse the time between spark and execution, spark and action, an idea, a creative impulse, your genius, like the raw material of your creative genius drops in and you're like, bing, and actually taking it in and running with it, playing with it, being experimental with it. When we collapse the time, we are able to generate more momentum than we ever believed possible. What happens to stagnate momentum is that people sit too long thinking about it and pontificating it and like wanting it to be perfect before it's released to the world and not wanting it to be unpolished, as we spoke about on day one. Ultimately, the raw material of your creative genius is raw material. It is not polished. It is raw. Are you brave enough to run with it anyway, knowing that it is imperfect, knowing that it's not fully finished, knowing that you might potentially need to build the plane as you fly it? If you've ever heard that expression before, I love it. It's from my dad. Build the plane as you fly it. You have an idea drops in, you run with it. You generate with, especially in response to your human design, right? So if you receive an idea, you're responding to something. If you're a sacral being, you run with it. And then based off what other people around you are saying, are experiencing, the feedback you get given, you're creating it as you fly. You build the plane as you fly. You might feel the nudge to merge one area or one industry with another industry, but potentially you hesitate because no one else is doing that yet. That is exactly why you should. That is true, like walking on the edge of innovation. So the third component we want to address is breaking the expected structure of your industry. So instead of doing what everyone else is doing, playing within the existing frameworks, following the best practices, being just like everybody else, like repeating messaging that you see other people saying because it's working for them, so it's got to work for me too, but there's no aliveness, there's no excitement, there's no passion, there's no masterpiece in motion. Instead of doing that, how can you redefine the way business is done, the way you're doing business? By feeling into like, what would feel fun for me? What would feel exciting for me? What would activate my circuits like a Christmas tree? What could I just like, if I was to get up on a TEDx stage to deliver a 20-minute speech and I had 2 minutes to prepare, what would I fucking love to get up there and say? What would feel like it would just come through so easily? That area, that topic that you could just get up there and convey with your eyes closed. That's the area that you want to double down on. So a really great example here from like a practical sense is for a long time, coaching containers were traditionally Zoom calls, right? Or like, video calls. And then there was a whole wave of people who came in and said, you know what, I'm actually going to do audio. I'm only going to do audio with my clients because it means we can be out there in nature. It means we can both be walking around. We don't have to be sit still, stagnant on a computer. We can actually be living and moving and breathing, and that's when the inspiration is flowing, and that's when the channel is open. But we could take it even more. We could take it even more broader than that, like expand the perception even more than that. Like, what if we were to create actually a multi-sensory coaching experience, right? That incorporated video, that incorporated audio, that incorporated even AI feedback, right? That incorporated embodiment work, that incorporated immersive storytelling. It was like blending a whole category of different industries and different ways of being, different modalities together in a way that no one had done before. So I want you to think, what is the rule in your industry, the rule that you see everybody following in your industry, that you're being called to shift, that you're being called to break? What is the rule that you're being called to break? Like this is just the way it's done. This is just what everybody does. This is the tradition. Who do you hear that from? What are the things that get your gripe up, that you're like, you know what? Who says that? Who's they? Everyone says that. Everyone says they. They say. Who's they? Why? Who is they? Like, actually point me. Who? It's like this crazy thing, right? Where we believe that we are under the control of a collective they, in how we show up, in how we work, in how we facilitate transformation, in how we live our lives, in how we relate with one another. But who is they, right? It's an illusion to keep us in fear. So if you're actively going to be leading on the edge of your innovation and cultivating whole new ways of thinking, because this is about expanding your perception just as much as it is about expanding the perception of other, you need to release the fear of that. The fear that if I do something in a different way, that it's going to like, what are the waves that I'm going to have? What are the tsunamis that I'm going to have to withstand? And that is a big energetic piece here, right? This piece around, can I hold, if I'm going to challenge the norm, if I'm going to, like the old 16th century version of innovation, which was seen as dangerous, if I'm going to challenge something, can I withstand the tsunami or the tidal wave of dissent that I might receive as a result of me sharing this message? I have another client who's in the thick of this at the moment. Whoa, one of her posts went viral, and like, she's dealing with a lot of this. A lot of people like, you're dangerous to this industry. Who do you think you are to challenge this? And this is when the most important work that we can do for ourselves is to anchor into our purpose, because they're not going to understand. The people who don't believe that you doing what you're doing is an important thing, or don't even see it, can't even conceptualize it, right? Like the people that say you're radical, they are not your people. So I'm going to read something here. Maya, my idea isn't new, yet it's going against the grain. Stop seeking outside yourself for the answers and just be. Go within and the answers will come. I want people to stop listening to what they say and use their own wisdom. I just got the quote from the movie Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. I love that. I love that. And even like, this is even something I've seen a lot as well, that, you know, this notion of like the ancient future, right? Like we're recreating things that were done in the past, like traditional ways of living, traditional ways of operating in the world, and we're reintroducing them now, right? Even that in and of itself is an innovative thing, even though we're like bringing something from the distant past and recreating it here, you know, like the rise of homesteading, the rise of, you know, put the fucking screens away and go sit outside with a tree. You know, so you can even work with innovative angles and innovative messaging perception by challenging that, by even speaking into that. You know, I'm here to challenge the belief that X, Y, and Z, right? That you need to follow the rules of the game. I'm here to challenge the belief that you need to listen to what they say and create your whole, like the whole terms of the game that you live your life inside of, and actually set yourself free from that. So it's in the languaging of the message, right? Anytime you feel like your messaging isn't necessarily landing, few things to think of. Am I speaking it in a way that am I using languaging that's really grounded and really real? And am I sharing it in a way that is activating this sense of perception shift, right? And this word, like, I'm willing to stand for this and I'm willing to stand against that. Who's with me? You're immediately going to get a whole range of people who go, yes, I am. Because ultimately what we're doing with innovation, with doing things differently, with expanding perception, is we're creating a movement. We're creating a movement that people want to get behind. So what is the movement that you're here to create? And then when you position it as a movement and you are the leader of a movement, it's like, it's not just about you. It's not just about you in a transactional experience, speaking, getting clients, doing your work. There's something bigger backing it up, right? There's context. There's a much bigger context. And in an ideal scenario, you have a whole bunch of people who are like, yes, that is what I want. I want that too. I've had that thought too, right? I'm with you. Let me join. Let me come. So what's the movement that you're here to facilitate? Let me know in the comments. So the courage to lead from the edge. To wrap up, innovation has never been about fitting in. It has never been about staying safe. It has never been about feeling comfortable. In fact, if you're feeling comfortable, you're like the antithesis of innovative. Innovation is not comfortable. It often requires bravery. It requires courage. It requires us to feel all the feelings and take the action anyway, which business does in general, but like this is times that by 100. Innovation is about disrupting the norm. It's about helping expand people's perception. It's about challenging the conversations, the vernacular that people are living inside of. It's about reshaping the field. It's about reshaping whole conversations people are having. And it's about leading and creating from a place of deep truth and power and potency and belief. You must have belief in your work and in your soul's mission. If you're going to put yourself out there on the edge of innovation, you must have self-belief, right? That is the thing that gets challenged when you're withstanding the tidal waves that might potentially come back to you. Self-trust and self-belief. So the real question that I want you to ask, it's not, will this work? Is this going to work? Are people going to buy this? The real question is actually what is being asked what is asking to be created through me? Do I have the courage to say yes to it? And if I was to really open my channel and speak to the energy of my business, the energy of my higher self, and I do this a lot in quantum hypnotherapy sessions with clients, where we get them into a quantum state, into a hypnotic state, and we access the energy of their superconscious or their higher self, and we bring forth whole new bodies of work, whole new concepts. I think it was Einstein who said, you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it. You must think bigger. You must think wider. So what is asking to be created through me? And do I have the courage to say yes to it? That's the game. That's the real game. Okay. I sat with the tree for some time this afternoon, too much chaos everywhere else. So you could speak so profoundly into it's the simplicity, right? Like returning to simplicity, releasing complexity, and coming back to the simple truth of nature, of a tree, right? So let me know your insights, what's being activated in you. We have the weekend here tomorrow. I may pop in, I'm not sure yet. I will be back on Monday and Tuesday, Sunday evening and Monday evening if you're in the United States. And there will be an opportunity for us to jump into a Zoom room as well and to do some back and forth workshopping on everything we've been speaking about. So let me know if you're up for that. If you'd like to, say yes in the comments so I know that there's people who are keen. And I will catch you over the weekend. Happy innovation.